I was going to ask you to help me move a vibration that I've had, I believe, since I was in the womb. And afterwards, things just spiraled downhill. There was an event when I was in kindergarten that I remember that I had already given up positive expectation because of the strife in the family. That was going to be my main question. But then yesterday, driving down here, I had an experience on the highway. It was after Fort Worth, and couldn't use cruise control, too much traffic, so things were flowing. And a nice silver Infiniti two-door coupe just passed me by, and I thought, well, I'll just fall in. I will follow this car just to make up some time. And I enjoyed driving pretty briskly, and this person was extraordinarily adept at driving. It wasn't excessive. We were just doing like 80 and a 70. Everybody else was doing 75, so what's the big deal? But, and I also, the windows were darkly tinted. But as, you know, we're going back and forth, I come by and I noticed the light was just right and I could see the driver. And it was a brunette woman, kind of attractive. And somehow, the universe, I mean, I like everybody, but this just kind of hooked me into this. And so we were just kind of playing, going back. I mean, and there was a lot of traffic, so it was, and other people dropped in behind us, and so on and so forth. And there was at one point, getting closer to Austin here, that I had this thought, you know, maybe I shouldn't, you know, I don't want to get a ticket. Maybe I should just back off. And then immediately after that came a thought, well, I'm feeling good. I'm playing. I'm having fun. What's to worry about? And so this continued. Everything was going fine until we reached Austin. And the speed limit slowed down to 65, so we both dropped off. And everything was fine. And then on the on-ramp comes a state trooper in front of us, coming up ahead. So I thought, well, this guy obviously hasn't, you know, couldn't get us. And but as he came in, I looked over and he looked right at me. And, you know, I didn't really think anything too much about it because I thought, okay, we're not speeding now, etc. And we kept on going, and he was a distance behind. Then I glanced over. The silver car was next to me, and somehow this extraordinarily dark tint, but the light hits right, and I look over, and I can see her. You know, you know, a pleasant thing. It was fun. And I notice her kind of looking back, and I look over my left shoulder, and the trooper is behind us, and the trooper pulls her over, and not me. And I kind of got scared at that point, and I thought, boy, man, after he's done with her, he's going to come get me. But I just thought, and I kind of calmed down, and then it occurred to me, a thought came into my mind. I created the whole thing. Through my thinking, my desire, things I'm interested in, and even to the nuance that I thought, well, maybe, you know, there's the police out there. Maybe we shouldn't be. I mean, it was only not that big of a deal. We weren't doing 100. Don't worry about that. But, you know, and then the thought came that, well, I'm okay. I'm in alignment here. I have nothing to worry about. And the universe demonstrated to me that was so. And the thought that came to my mind from that experience was, I'm God. And I've never thought that before in my life. From the darkness out of which I came, from when I was a little kid. My whole life. It's just been...
Well,
to think such a thing was just and after that, such peace. And I've been floating ever since.
You've hit upon something really significant. We have talked about this fairly recently, relative to the subject of worthiness.
Yeah.
that worthiness is such a loaded word, and because it has so much judgment in it even, and that the true way to manifest in a way that you really know worthiness is to become a deliberate creator, to guide yourself, to identify desire deliberately, to guide yourself intentionally, and then notice the positive results. That is the way that you understand your creative ability, and it is through the understanding, and only the understanding of your creative ability, that the true sense of that which humans call worthiness ever comes about. And that's exactly what you demonstrated. And it's interesting too, because you started the journey by getting clear about some of the things you wanted to talk about. You were on your way here wanting to have insight. You had some questions lined up that were significant to you. And so you were forward thinking in terms of all of that. So as you're on your journey, living in the real world, which was traffic in that moment, which was driving your car, you focused upon someone who caught your eye because they were bright and shiny, as many things in the world are, and caught your attention because it is bright and shiny. In fact, it was so bright and shiny, you wanted to follow it. And as you began following this bright and shiny object and enjoying the interplay with it, it became, you are right, it became part of your reality. In other words, it was attracted to you by the vibrational circumstances of what you were putting out. But it's deep what happened, because you wanted to drive faster than the speed limit really allows. And you were looking for someone who might maybe know what that means. And so you found someone to follow. Now here's where it gets really good. You found someone to follow who seemed like the perfect one to follow, because as you said, whoever this was dancing beautifully within traffic. There was so much for you to admire, not only about the vehicle, but the skill with which whoever it was moving in and out of traffic. And so in the beginning, everything's in perfect alignment. But as you are following this, there's another guidance that's kicking in for you. There's another guidance that's saying, while you may be following something that's bright and shiny and may be satisfying you on many fronts, there are other things to consider here, like the state trooper who is trolling for revenue in the bushes. And because of your alignment, you felt that. In other words, you actually calculated that into the mix. And because you calculated it into the mix, you slowed, and your dance partner did too. In other words, the fact that you knew it, she knew it too. She just didn't know it soon enough. And she wasn't as practiced in the knowing of the well-being as you are. And the universe demonstrated to you the well-being. But it's more than the well-being of not being the one that's pulled over that we want to amplify here. It's the knowing who to follow. It's the following the path of least resistance. It's knowing how long to follow that, and when there are a lot of people that are, or a lot of situations that are perfect matches for you up to a point. They're the crack of least resistance to a point. And the universe will draw your attention to them. The vortex will draw your attention to them because it's the best thing for you to do right here, right now. But your vortex is never going to say to you, follow that bright and shiny silver sphere forevermore. In other words, it's just for now. It's just for now. This is the path of least resistance for now. And what's exhilarating to us is that you felt definitively when that path of least resistance became enough of resistance that you held back. Really good.